Happy Saturday, NFL fans, Falcons fans. We survived another week. Another work week is over. And it's time to talk football. Here on Jackson Pigskins, I'm your host, Tom Pollen, along with Wanda Weidman.
Hello.
Who was unfortunately missed last week, but is back on today.
Ready to go.
All ready to go. Yep. Got a lot going for you today. As far as the Atlanta Falcons, next two games are vital for the Falcons, especially in an attempt to lock up a playoff spot in the NFC. And we are also going to add another segment, Wanda's Waiver Wire, and give you a little fantasy advice for the next couple of weeks. Players that Wanda thinks have not been featured in fantasy football, but players you might want to give a good thought to if you don't have them. Hey, these are players you might want to pick up. Be a good idea to pick up. Let's not say might, but be a good idea to pick up.
Exactly.
And we'll finish off with Nostradamus Predicts. He had a rough week last week. Was only 1 out of 3 with my best bets. Not a good week for Nostradamus, but I was 8-7 against the spread overall. And we're going to head into new week, and I'm confident with what I have for you this week. And Wanda will have straight up picks for you this week.
Yep.
So got a lot going. We got a full show. We're going to look at the next couple of weeks for the Falcons. This is a time the Falcons are 5-3 right now. They are the third seed in the NFC, the way it stands at this point in the season. But they're also 5-1 in the conference. 2 of those losses were out of conference. So a big advantage for Atlanta. And their next 2 games are in conference. Wanda and I both think they're winnable, and will give the Falcons a 7-1 record in conference and really put them in the driver's seat for a playoff spot, for that postseason spot that we've been just waiting for a while now, for this team to get moving, and they are in an outstanding position. So going to go into all of that, and as I say, full show. So let's get to it. Tomorrow, the Falcons face the Dallas Cowboys. And the Cowboys are just a mess this season, have not played well, really struggled, and especially the last 2 weeks. So, they're ripe to be picked. They are ready to be beat. Wanda, what do you think about the games coming up?
I think I agree with you. I think they're winnable games. Dallas has been struggling majorly. Now they've also lost Trayvon Diggs, so their defense is pretty much limping at this point. So I think with that, and of course the Saints, their defense is last in the league, so they're atrocious. Yeah. So these are 2 winnable games that the Falcons can win and get them in that playoff bubble.
Yeah. So, but Dallas, the one negative stat, the one disadvantage that I found as I was looking up, doing some research on the game, Kirk Cousins is only 2-9 against the Cowboys in his career. And last faced them in 2022, lost 40-3 when he was quarterback for the Minnesota Vikings. Don't let that discourage you too much. Don't start saying, we got to get Michael Penix in this game, because Cousins does not play well against the Cowboys. No, that was a vastly different Cowboys team too.
Right.
So
exactly. And they've got the weapons to do it. If they're playing it right, we should be thankful that Arthur Smith is not there calling the plays. So I think I think
yeah,
the Falcons, their offense, especially their run game, is fantastic. And with the weapons that they have with London, Pitts, and Mooney, it
yep.
really gives a much better advantage for the Falcons in this, especially against the Cowboys.
I've liked the way Mooney has played the last couple of weeks.
Oh, he's phenomenal.
He's really showed up.
Yeah.
Kind of showed what the Bears saw in him after his rookie season.
Yeah.
And showed that, his last 2 years, the last 2 years he spent with the Bears weren't all his fault.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's a lot of talent there. Was a lot of talent there to be mined. And, it's Atlanta that's finding that talent. That's digging it up. Which is unfortunate. It's not the way I wanted to see it, but hey, it's the way to go. But again, Dallas is 29th defense, net passing yards per attempt. They give up 6.7 net passing yards per attempt. Defensive passer rating, they almost give up a 100.0 passer rating, 99.4.
Yeah.
29th in the league. So just, a team that is not, Mike McCarthy has had good defenses there before, but they're just not showing up this year. Micah Parsons is hurt. He's going to be out tomorrow.
Yeah.
Which is huge because he puts a lot of pressure on the quarterback. And you can run against the Cowboys. They're 25th, 4.8 yards per attempt against on defense. Bijan Robinson should have a big game. If you have Bijan Robinson in fantasy, get him on the field. Pick him up.
Exactly. He's I have Bijan on my league, and for the past 4 weeks, he's just been phenomenal, just racking up the points, at least, a touchdown every game. So he's definitely, if I'd be surprised if he's in any leagues, but if he is, run and get him.
Yeah. I don't think he's available in too many leagues. So.
Well, it's funny is some people panic, and they were panicking in the beginning, would drop him, which is one of the problems that some fantasy players do. And they will drop somebody because they panic and then regret it later. It's just they can have one bad game.
Yeah.
Don't let him go. Just hold on to him. Wait till it kind of settles, and then you'll see him pop up.
Well, this is why you got a guy on the bench.
Yeah.
Sit him for a couple of weeks and wait for that advantageous matchup. And that's coming up this week.
Yeah.
Because Dallas, I expect everybody on the Falcons offense to have a big game.
Yeah.
Because this is the time for it.
Yeah, they'll spread the ball for sure. In this game, I guarantee that the ball's going to be spread around, and it's going to have the Cowboys defense chasing them all over the field. And it's brilliant. It's brilliant.
Yeah. I expect Drake London to have a big game, Mooney to have a big game. Ray McLeod, it seems like Cousins likes finding him. And I kind of expect Ray McLeod to have a big game this week.
Yeah, and he would also be a flex player. He's somebody you would keep on your bench as a flex player just to, if you want to get some extra points somewhere, he's going to at least get you about, 7 to 10 points.
Yeah, right. So, always an advantage. And a guy who returns punts.
Right.
So it gives you some extra ways to score there. So it's always nice to have that well-rounded player on your bench or as your flex. Let's get into a little bit more. To me, the Cowboys' problems on offense, which has kind of been their problem all season, is their
One player.
their playmaker. All their playmakers on the team are named CeeDee Lamb.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. That's all they got.
That's it.
And with the Falcons secondary, that's going to be. It's not going to be, make it easier for the Cowboys to move the football.
No.
CeeDee Lamb is just, leads their team in targets. He's everything, and it's rough to. I don't know. It's kind of weird to see where Jerry Jones has left his team. I know Mike McCarthy is getting a lot of blame, but my God, you can't. You got to look. Ezekiel Elliott is your starting running back. Last week, is Rico Dowdle? Is he? I think he's healthy this week. He should play.
Yeah.
But Rico Dowdle, that's 59 carries, 246 yards. That's not really doing much for you on the ground. It's not Tony Pollard. No. Definitely.
Yeah. And you mentioned it earlier in the year, when they just completely neglected the run game, and why Jerry Jones went and got Ezekiel Elliott when there were so many other players he could have got.
Yes.
And went backwards. And it's just, it's mind blowing.
Yeah, it is. It's a joke. It really is. And as I say, that's good for the Falcons.
Sure.
You want this kind of team on your schedule.
Yeah. Get you that edge. Why not?
Right. You got them at home, bring them into Mercedes-Benz Stadium and kick the crap out of them. Yeah. So, but, other than CeeDee Lamb, let's see, he has 72 targets. And it's almost twice as many as the next receiver on their team, which is Jake Ferguson, tight end. Yep. Who has 42 targets. It tells you that, Dak Prescott doesn't have many places to look. And it's a horrible situation. So, I fully expect the Falcons to be 6-3 coming out of this game.
Yeah.
So, but they pretty much dominate in every statistical category. They are favored by 3.5 points. I'm not putting them in as one of my best bets. I just don't want the one problem that always crops up to me. If you really want to give Dak Prescott a lot of problems, which the Lions did last week, put pressure on him.
Right.
And that's something the Falcons are incapable of doing right now, is putting pressure on the quarterback. Prescott's going to have some clean pockets. And that's one of the reasons why I don't want to take the Falcons as one of my best bets this week. I don't know who's on the trading block that the Falcons could pick up. I know everybody throws around these big, grandiose ideas of who trade targets are. But I don't know. Who can you get at this point? Matt Judon was supposed to be it.
Yeah. That's not...
and everybody was hoping Arnold Ebiketie would back it up too. But that's not doing it either. So,
but the way that Jesse Bates is playing, he may get pick off.
Yeah,
Prescott a couple of times. So,
He's going to be able to play center field quite a bit.
Yeah. I think he'll be all over the place. So I think they may be just kind of, even though there might not be enough pressure up front for Prescott, but I think they can get him in the back end.
Yeah, I think so too, because I think the Falcons secondary, I think, is a quality secondary.
Right.
But it would be an even better secondary if they could get pressure on the quarterback.
Right.
So, I don't know who you try and get. But, and I know we didn't talk about this before the show. And neither of us are really prepared for the subject.
Right.
Looking at trade targets. If any of you have trade targets that you would like to see the Falcons go after, because I think, trade deadline's coming up. So if you think of a pass rusher that you would like to see the Falcons go after to shore up this defensive line and finally put some pressure on a quarterback once in a while,
Yeah, let us know.
Yeah, let us know. Bring it up. Let's discuss it. Let's talk about it, because I would like to hear it too. Because that is the big weak link in this Falcons team. I think it's going to make Dak Prescott more successful than he actually has any business being in this game, because they can't rush him.
Right.
And he is more effective in a clean pocket. He was fairly successful last week. The 49ers didn't put a lot of pressure on him. But 2 weeks ago, but the Lions just really crushed him. And, what was the 49ers last week? Lions 2 weeks ago. I get it. Sometimes it happens. So, and the fans know that. They know we blank every now and then. But then 2 weeks from now, they got the New Orleans Saints. And the Saints are just riddled with problems. And, the Falcons already have a win against the Saints this year. A second win against the Saints puts the Falcons 6-0 in the division.
Yep.
And will make them 7-1 in the conference. So, where do you see the Falcons as far as the Saints in this second matchup?
This one with Carr back, that might be different. I think that actually puts a competition there with Carr, because he'll hit his target in Olave, and but if they're only, they've also got some battered players. I think it's still winnable because the Saints defense is horrific. They're the last in the league. Yeah. So I think in that case, the Falcons can really play them out. Rushing the ball, I think, is going to be tremendous, opening up that passing game, and the Falcons, I think, still beat the Saints here, with the weapons that they have and a completely decimated defense.
Yeah, if you think the Cowboys can be run against, the Saints are 30th in the league, 5.2 rushing yards per attempt.
Right. And Falcons have your two-headed monster with Bijan and Algiers.
Yeah.
So they can go back and forth either way, and it's still going to put pressure on them.
Right. And that's the big advantage. Having both of them and being able to call on both of them to that two-headed monster at the running back position is just a huge advantage for him. And I like that matchup. A big advantage for the Falcons against the Saints. Marshawn Lattimore has been hurt.
Yeah.
And he's going to be out tomorrow against the Carolina Panthers. Now, fortunately for the Saints, they are playing the Panthers.
Yeah.
And with Bryce Young back at
Right.
quarterback, that Andy Dalton experiment did not last very long. 3 games for the Panthers. What, 3 games or 4 games for Andy Dalton?
I think 3.
Yeah,
Might
I
be
think it's 3.
Yeah.
Just did not work at all. Unfortunately, the Falcons don't face the Panthers until the final game of the season. This is a team you want now, right now. So, I mean, let's see. How many games did Dalton start? He started. Oh, he started 5 games.
Oh, there you go.
Was 1-4 in the starts. Had a big game his first start, and against the I think the Raiders, and has just fallen apart since. But the Saints are on a 6-game losing streak. I think they win tomorrow. What that means, I don't think it means much, because I think you look at the way the Saints started the season. 15 straight offensive drives ended in scores in their first 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And they have not played well since. They have fallen apart. Well, when you have Spencer Rattler, the rookie,
Right.
being quarterback of your team.
All right. Big difference.
So is Rattler one of your waiver wire pickups?
No, he's one of my drops.
One of your drops.
You would be dropping him.
Yeah. So, but I mean, in 2 weeks, this is when you want to get the Saints. They got the Saints in week 4, and the Saints gave the Falcons everything they could handle at Mercedes-Benz Stadium, but the Falcons ended up being able to pull that one out. And this is the time you want to, you're catching the Saints on the downturn. And this is what I say about teams. If you want to be a playoff contender, any team that wants to be a playoff contender, you play 500 against the good teams, against the teams that are above 500 that you face, and you beat the living crap out of the teams that are the bottom feeders. And I think the Falcons are actually following that formula. Lost to the Steelers, beat the Eagles, lost to the Chiefs, but have beaten the Buccaneers twice, have taken the Buccaneers from a positive 500 team to, at 500. Lost a bad one to the Seahawks. There's no getting away from that Seahawks game. But, other than that, they're doing what you need to do to win in any sport. NFL, Major League Baseball, hockey, basketball. Play the good teams at their level. You're going to win as many as you lose.
Right.
And beat the living hell out of the bottom feeders. And I think the Falcons have got 2 bottom feeders coming. And I like the way it sets up for them. The problem with the Falcons coming up is before their bye week, they have to face a team that is on the rise and a team that's playing hot. And that's the Denver Broncos.
Right.
And the Broncos I'm surprised by the Broncos. I didn't think they would be where they are right now.
Yeah.
I thought they would be at the bottom of the AFC West, and they are actually, they're behind the Saints, are behind the Chiefs. Everybody's behind the Chiefs. So, but they're in second place in their division. Nick's is improving. He's not the greatest, Hey, Brian, great to see Brian. Always
Hey,
good to see
Brian.
Brian. And you're right, Brian. Just find a way. Nobody
Yeah.
cares how it looks. That's the thing. A base hit looks like a line drive in the box score. It could be a little dribbler to the shortstop that you beat out at first base, but it looks like a line drive in the box score. That's the thing. In the standings, they don't care who you beat, when you beat them, how you beat them. They just care that you won. Yeah, that's all that counts. Yep. Oh, Brian just pointed out, yeah, Broncos' next two opponents, Baltimore and KC. That's going to actually say a lot about the Broncos coming
Exactly.
up.
Yeah.
Because I hadn't looked at the Broncos' schedule ahead of this week's game against Baltimore. And I'll get to the Broncos against Baltimore a little bit later in Thomas Predicts. Yeah, again, Brian, no style points in the NFL? No style points in any league as far as I'm concerned.
Right.
As long as that game goes in the win column, that's all that matters.
Right. Right.
But, the thing is, Bo Nix has just been named the October Rookie Player of the Month on offense by the NFL. So, that's doing something considering that he's got Jaden Daniels and Caleb Williams as competition for offensive rookie honors. Williams did play a couple of great games. We're not going to talk about last week.
No.
Against the Washington Commanders.
No.
I have never been more angry about a game in my life than last week.
I try not to think about it.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
We could spend the show talking about the Bears and the fact that I think Eberflus could be losing this team.
It's possible, yeah.
I think Waldron may have lost that offense. With that, Kramer, giving the ball to the backup center on the 1 yard line, instead of going with Roschon Johnson, who's your regular short yardage back.
Right. Which would have scored right there.
Yeah, which
right.
would have been a touchdown.
In that instance, yeah. They could have used that in maybe in another game if they were up 2 scores. Yeah. Then I could see them doing it, because if it was Kansas City and Andy Reid called that play and it worked, it would have been phenomenal.
But
right?
if it works,
right.
It's only great if it works.
Right. And at that point, if you look and you watch Kramer, he just botched that ball because it came flying out of his hands immediately. So Kramer, he botched that, but later on you have to kind of see whether it works or not. I think it was just bad timing in using it. I completely agree with you. They should have used Roschon, get him in there. That would have put the score in easy. But it's the past. We're not even going to think about that now. We got to move on.
But I'll just say one thing. Mark Schlereth, over the week, he mentioned the fact that, as an offensive lineman, your hands are taped up. And Schlereth says, he goes, half the time he didn't even have feeling in his hands. He's like just trying to keep feeling in his hands. How do you have touch for a football when you're an offensive lineman? And that's as far as I'm going with it. Schlereth called it the most ridiculous play he's ever seen. And he's seen quite a few plays. So I'm getting off of it. I'm sorry, folks. I'm just,
Well, putting us back to, if we go back to the Broncos here, right? So let's say with the Broncos defense is ranked 7th in the league. So they're a very good defense. As a matter of fact, if you're looking for a good fantasy defense,
we'll get to that in a minute.
Yeah, you can get the Broncos, but I think with the way that they're playing, the passing, I don't think is on the same level, obviously, as with the Falcons passing.
Yeah.
So I think there, with the weapons that the Falcons have, I think they can actually beat the Broncos. I think where the Broncos will be strong against the Falcons is stopping the run.
Yes.
Where it's going to be an issue.
Yeah, they only give up 4.0 yards per attempt, fourth best in the NFL.
Right.
So,
right.
And I do apologize, folks, that I got off on a tangent there. I'm still frustrated by that game. I just can't believe it. But you're right. But the thing about the Denver game, not in conference.
Right.
Again, an out of conference game. And one more thing about Brian, you are what your record says you are. Yeah, Bill Parcells. Yep, you're right.
Yep.
That's the way it is in the NFL.
Yep.
You are what your record says you are. And as I've said constant times on this show over the last couple of years, you just have to make the tournament. You just have to get there. And then you can make something out of yourself. But you got to get to the tournament. And the way it's going, if the Falcons keep playing the way they are and take advantage of these two teams that are on downswings, puts them 7-1 in the conference and nearly good enough to actually seal up a playoff spot at that point.
Yeah.
But you figure they still have games coming up against the Vikings, tough game. But the Vikings are on a downswing. We're going to see that over the next couple of weeks. Are the Vikings, have they peaked a little bit? And have they been, are we seeing who the Vikings really are the last couple of weeks?
Are we seeing who Darnold is?
Yeah.
Darnold can start off hot for a while and then it starts to decline. So This will be a good test to see if Darnold can continue on. If they start sliding, now we're going to see where Darnold starts to struggle later on in the season.
Yeah, but, the Vikings have lost 2 straight, once against the Lions. But, God, that Lions team has just been incredible.
I know.
But they lost against the Rams last week, a Thursday night game. Not, thrilled about that and seeing that. I think that was a bad loss for the Minnesota Vikings. And, be interesting to see how they play, coming up. This week they have the Colts. But they have the Joe Flacco Colts, not the Anthony Richardson Colts.
Right.
So going to be interesting to see how they come up. Falcons also have the Commanders on their schedule.
Right.
So as good as Jaden Daniels has been playing, that Washington defense is still suspect. So, however, you can get victories 8 and 9 this season in conference against the New York Giants, Carolina Panthers. You still got them on your schedule. So that's why I say winning these next 2 weeks with the Giants and the Panthers still on your schedule gives the Falcons a great shot at firming up, taking a really tight grip on a playoff spot coming up for the 2024 season. And Brian, one more comment on this. Yeah, you should run the ball down the Cowboys' throats. We mentioned that earlier. Yeah. Lots of Robinson and Algier. Got that right, Brian. That's what we want to see. A lot of Robinson and Algier. Yeah, keep CeeDee Lamb off the field. But again, we mentioned CeeDee Lamb is the only playmaker on the Cowboys. So it's a matter of keeping CeeDee Lamb covered as well. But, pounding the ball out on the ground is going to be big.
Yeah.
So, but again, with the way the Falcons schedule lines up, having 7 wins after these next 2 games in conference, I like the way they look. I like their postseason chances. And their seeding. I like how they could seed in this NFC coming up with, another 2 wins against these 2 conference opponents. Now we are going to get into a new segment that we're going to do every week. So, Wanda, you are on.
I'm on here. Okay.
Yeah, you are on the line for this one. You're the one who suggested it.
Yeah, I think it's great to.
Let me introduce it first. Let me introduce it. This is Wanda's waiver wire. You want to know who players who may not be rostered in a lot of fantasy leagues, may not be rostered in your league. These are players you need to be grabbing right now. So
all right,
go get them. Rhonda has your waiver wire for this week.
Okay, so
is that a good enough introduction?
I'm sorry, what?
That's a great enough introduction.
Yeah,
really.
I think it's great. So there's a lot of players that are still unrostered, and we're seeing a lot of injuries going on. So what do? You've got an injured player on your bench. You're freaking out going, what am I going to do in this point to replace him? So I've got a couple of suggestions that I think are going to help you. One is the first pickup is on the Browns. Believe it or not, the Browns. Yes.
Yeah.
It's wide receiver Cedric Tillman. Now that you have Jameis Winston in the quarterback position, and I know that a lot of you are thinking Jameis, we've seen him before. It's the same. Well, there's a couple of factors differently with Jameis. He's really improved his game.
Yes.
He got some great. What's a great charge from Kurt Warner, who really, really is impressed by the improvement of Jameis Winston. And Jameis Winston also admitted that he had some eyesight issues that he had to have corrected by LASIK. And now he used to see shadowed figures instead of, so now he sees way better. And the way that he came into the game last week and just connected, his favorite target happens to be Cedric Tillman. And you saw how Cedric, he put up 26 fantasy points last week. So if he's still on the waiver wire, and I guarantee he is still on. See, there you go, Brian. Right? There you go. Pick him up. I think this is a great pickup for his matchup against the Chargers. And I think you won't be disappointed.
Well, actually, Ryan says he had to pick him up to replace Godwin.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
So,
exactly.
And that's the thing. And injuries, I don't know. We could go a whole show on this. Just the injury bug in the NFL.
Oh, yeah.
And I don't know if anybody's done a study on it. But I might really take a close look to see if has a 17-game schedule, 18 weeks, 17 games, contributed to the lack of durability of a lot of players as we've been moving forward. And that was one of my worries going into this 17-game schedule. Might be rougher on players.
It could be. That's a possibility. Yeah.
Are we seeing a result of that? Because we're seeing a lot of injuries this season.
Yeah. And it's funny. It's a lot is the knee injuries.
Yes.
And what I'm noticing is a lot of it has to do on foot plant. So when they go to do the quick foot plant, they're stepping too hard. They're hyperextending, and they're causing. I've never seen so many Achilles.
Yes.
The moment I saw it when I was watching the Browns game and I saw Watson step forward,
Yeah.
I saw that pop and I knew immediately it was his Achilles.
Everybody knew it was the Achilles. Yes.
Yeah. And so you see, it seems to be more of an uprise on the Achilles this year than I've ever seen it. And it's just, I don't know if it's the way that they're training or just even diet. It's something's going on to where the leg injuries are just out of control.
Yeah. Well, Stephon Diggs went to plant and tore his ligament in the knee.
Yeah.
You know, non-contact injury.
Puka Nacua, who just came back out of, did something to his knee again. So, it's either he came back too soon, or they're being precautionary. It could be either way. But again, it's just, it kind of brings to the next man up mentality.
Okay, next man up.
So you always need to have that extra guy on there, and it's the same as with fantasy. You got to have those on your bench that are going to step forward.
Okay, Brian, you said you lost last week. Maybe these next couple players, give them a thought.
Yeah,
they might pick up for you. You might win this week.
Another person that is still on roster, still not rostered. It's only rostered in about 40% of the league is Ladd McConkey out of the Chargers.
Now, see, that surprises me. Yeah.
I was kind of surprised myself because he's still available in my league, and so he's kind of sitting there, but he is Justin Herbert's go-to guy, and really their only strong wide receiver at this point. So if you haven't roster, you need someone, pick him up, because even though they're playing against Cleveland, you still have a really good chance of getting Herbert to do some passing with McConkey. Whether it's going to be touchdowns, I don't know. Depends on the Browns back in there, but I think you're still going to get the touches and receiving targets out of McConkey.
But Dobbins hasn't had the effectiveness in the Chargers offense that he did earlier in the season.
That's correct. That's correct. He's been on a slide here and there. He may pick up something in Cleveland depending on how their defense goes. They're kind of tough, but they can try to use Dobbins on the receiving as well. So if they can kind of use him in a dual threat, then that might give you some points there. Yeah. So it is kind of hard against Cleveland, though. So Robbins, I know, I'm not sure. I have him on, and I'm kind of debating who I'm going to slide in there. And then my last one here is surprising, is Josh Downs from the Colts. So he's still available. Now that you've got Flacco,
yes,
I think you can actually roster Downs and be able to put him on and watch him get the targets, because he's also Flacco's favorite target. Right. So I think you're going to get some really good explosiveness out of him. And though they're playing against the Vikings, you still can pass against the Vikings. So if Flacco's effective and can get out of the pocket, he's going to find Downs, and I would pick Downs actually over Pittman. So those are the three that I'm giving you off the waiver wire that are still on the waiver wire. Pick them up and you won't be disappointed, hopefully.
Brian wants to know what's your Twitter handle. Give out your Twitter handle real quick.
It is at Wanda W63.
Okay. There you go, Brian. So if you want to discuss more waiver pickups, give Wanda a message.
Give me a shout out.
So, and same here, if you want to connect with me, TJ Pollin, Pollin. I love talking football with fans. So if you want to just, shoot me an at and say, what do you think? Or talk anything football, give me a yell. I'm always up for it. Any running backs in that list, Wanda? Or you got any
running backs? the running backs are kind of on the low end
Yeah.
because there's not a lot available because you've had so many injuries. So they're kind of, but there are a few, and let me grab this for you here. So with the running backs, I would probably say Irving, if he's still on at the Buccaneers, he's still available in some leagues, but he's kind of questionable right now. But I'm pretty sure he's going to wind up playing. And there's Zach Charbonnet out of the Seattle Seahawks.
Seattle.
So even though Walker is he's the number one and he's amazing, he just gets me points all the time.
Yeah.
Walker can also be used as a dual threat in receiving as well. But Charbonnet is like Algiers is to Robinson. Charbonnet comes in as a dual player.
With
So
Walker,
if Charbonnet is available, grab Charbonnet as well. He's always being played. So you can also get some points off of Charbonnet using him.
I didn't mean to put you on the spot there.
No, those are the ones. And even if it's like a short touchdown you want to get with the Bears on who they're playing this weekend.
Arizona,
Roschon Johnson. Johnson's available.
Right.
Yeah. And he'll get you that short if they're smart.
If they're smart.
They're smart. They're going to use him in that short down, and you'll get a touchdown.
See, the second time they went with Roschon, and he punched the ball into the end zone.
Exactly.
Yeah, if they're smart. But I don't know if Shane Waldron is as smart.
I don't. We'll see what happens.
But yeah, pick up Roschon if you want some touchdown points, not looking for yardage points, but maybe a flex for touchdowns.
Correct.
So that's great. I'm glad let's do this every week. I think that's great, Wanda. Some good picks.
Great.
Brian, give those players some thought, and maybe you'll win this week. You said you're 5-3 in your league, so punch it up. Let's go. Except when Roschon's role, goal line running back, except when they want to put the backup center as your goal line running back.
You don't want to put Roschon as your starting running back. He's a great flex if you want to get just those extra points. Yeah.
Let's go into picks for the week. Nostradamus has 3 solid picks for you. But I want to hear what you have first, Wanda. What are your picks for the week?
Okay, so my picks are Chargers and Browns, and I've got the Browns winning by 1.
Ooh.
So I think this is going to be a close game, but I think they're going to win by 1. I've got the Rams and the Seahawks, and I've got the Seahawks winning this by 3. I think the Seahawks have much more power on the ground. And I think they're going to hit that really hard and with their receiving because DK Metcalf is available to play. So
is he available? Okay.
He'll be available to play, yes. And then the Patriots and the Titans. I have the Titans winning by 3. I'm not sure if Levis is starting or not, but hopefully he will. I know that's bizarre to say. But the Patriots, I don't, with Jacoby Brissett, the Titans defense is much harder. DK is out?
DK is out. I got the injury report. I have everybody's injury reports right here.
It's weird.
I got the NFL injury reports.
Okay.
So let's take a quick look at let's take a quick look here. Sorry, Seahawks. DK Metcalf is out. Noah Fant is out. Right tackle Abraham.
So they
Lucas
just announced that yesterday. Must have been late because yesterday they said he was in. So that's weird.
Okay. It might have been a late announcement. Yeah.
Okay, so definitely want to get Charbonnet if you can. for that extra, because they're probably going to use Kenneth Walker also as a dual, both run and passing.
Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah.
Pretty good. I like. I'm going to differ with you a little bit, though.
All right.
So last week, as I said, I was 1-3, very disappointing, but I've been very good against the spread this year. So I would say give these some strong looks. I think the Chargers, favored by 1, beat the Browns. The Browns last week against the Ravens, that was their Super Bowl.
Mm.
You know, that was, and I acknowledge what you're saying as far as Jameis Winston. I think he's improved a lot. I think he's brought a lot more to the game. You also have the Chargers with the number 1 defense in the league. It is a tough defense to score on. So I'm saying Chargers -1. I like Denver getting 9.5 points against the Ravens in Baltimore. I don't know how you can give 9.5 points against the Denver Broncos. Take that Denver plus 9.5. Even if Nix has a rough game. And I don't think the Ravens defense is capable of locking down Bo Nix. The fact that, Lamar Jackson's going against a tough, another tough defense this week. Yeah, 9.5, just way too many points. I don't like it. Take Denver plus 9.5. And I am saying take the Raiders plus 7 against the Cincinnati Bengals in Cincinnati. For the Bengals, running back Zach Moss, T. Higgins, and left tackle Orlando Brown are all doubtful, which is, normally if a guy's questionable, he's going to play. These guys are doubtful, and it's very unlikely they are going to play in this game. So, but I don't think the Bengals are very good this year.
No.
I have given I've given the Bengals a lot of rope as far as picking them against the spread this season, and they have disappointed me repeatedly. Almost like the Jets have disappointed me repeatedly until they go out and win last week.
Yeah.
That's why you only gamble. You only bet what you can afford to lose. So,
right.
Because teams come back to bite you in the royal bottom. But I do think the Raiders plus 7. These big spreads have been tough on a lot of teams this season. Spreads of 6.5 points or more have been very tough for a lot of teams to beat. It's been a tighter NFL. It's been a lower scoring NFL, which means larger spreads are not going to be as easy to cover. Teams are not dominating like they did over the last few years. So I say, even with the problems the Raiders are having, take the 7 and go ahead and I think, take those 3 picks. You should have a lot of success this week. If you just pick them for fun, or if you do take them to the betting window, But again, bet only what you can afford to lose.
Right.
Never, and never try and make up losses with later games. Never chase losses. If you lose a game, so be it. But those are my 3 picks, and very confident in them. Brian thinks that last one is a bold prediction. I don't know if it's as bold as you would think. As I say, Bengals have not performed this year, and their defense is not very good. And Burrow, without T. Higgins, is not going to be as effective, especially without Zach Moss at running back. The Bengals are struggling mightily this season. I think this is a down year for them. And I don't think everybody's admitting to that yet, but I think they will coming up soon. So there you go. You have Wanda, who believe the Browns beat the Chargers. Seahawks will beat the Rams at home, and the Titans take the Patriots. I'm still waiting to see if Drake May plays. So it's going to be interesting. It's going to be a tough game because Tennessee has a tough defense, but, man, they are just rough. Let's see. Pantera. It's good to see Pantera today. Cowboys 33-45 Falcons. Man, you're expecting fireworks in that game tomorrow, Pantera.
Yeah.
Those are fun games to watch, but, man, I'm sure they're going to be, a shootout like that. Going to be a rough one.
That would be a fun game to watch, though.
Oh, going to be a blast to watch. And the fun thing about this week is the Falcons play early, Bears play late.
Yeah.
So we get done with the Falcons game, you can go right to the Bears game.
I know. It's fun.
So it's the way it goes. And we are out of time. We've had a blast being here with you today. Been great having Wanda back with me today. And as I said, got a new segment going to be thrown at you every week. Wanda's Waiver Wire for your fantasy needs. But as we go, great to have you here with us on a Saturday. As I always say, great to hear that you spent time with us on a Saturday, took time out of your day, or took the time out of your day if you catch the replay during the week. We always appreciate it.
We sure do.
Really appreciate our fans. And everybody, have a great week.
Bye, guys.